Hey there. In this video, I'm going to break down why most brands fail to stand out and how to make your brand unforgettable. That way, you don't miss the mark with your marketing and wind up with a brand that just gets ignored. My name's Brennan Murphey, and welcome to the Alchemy of Influence YouTube channel. So you're putting in all the work. You've built a website, you're posting on social media, maybe even running ads. But when people encounter your brand, it's like it barely registers. Prospects don't seem to remember you. They confuse you with your competitors. You end up having to fight for every client, often by lowering your prices or over-delivering just to win a deal. Sales calls feel like uphill battles, where you're constantly trying to justify why someone should work with you. Deep down, you know you're good at what you do, but the market just doesn't seem to get it. And it's exhausting. It feels like shouting into the void, watching money go down the drain, and wondering if maybe you're just missing some secret ingredient. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine that when someone comes across your brand, they immediately get it. They can tell in a few seconds whether they're interested or not. They feel something when they encounter your message. They lean in, curious, excited, wanting to know more. By the time they book a call, half the sale is already done, because your positioning has already framed you as the obvious choice. You don't have to compete on price because your uniqueness is undeniable. You don't have to work so hard to convince people because your value is already established in their minds. Suddenly, business feels lighter. Marketing actually works. And instead of feeling invisible, you're seen as the one they need. The truth is, most brands never get to that place. Over 90% of startups fail. And one of the top reasons is lack of differentiation. If you build into the sea of sameness, you'll never capture attention long enough to win trust. Studies show that consumers make snap judgments in as little as 3 to 7 seconds, and if your positioning isn't crystal clear in that window, you're forgotten. That leads to wasted ad spend, launches that fall flat, and years of grinding without traction. Many entrepreneurs burn out and quit, not because they weren't talented or didn't work hard, but because they failed to stand out. I encountered this very problem when I first started my coaching business back in 2019. Even though I had an amazing group coaching program and happy clients that were willing to pay me thousands of dollars, I couldn't seem to attract the right type of clients through advertising. I remember spending over $1,000 on Facebook ads to generate leads, only to fill up my call schedule with people who weren't even showing up for the calls. After working the system that I had painstakingly built for weeks, I finally got someone on a call and realized this was not the right person for me. What I finally realized was that even though I had a unique personal development coaching program that really did have some special elements you couldn't find anywhere else, I wasn't leading with my uniqueness in my marketing. In my ads, I came off as just another self-help guru. So even though plenty of people were clicking on my ads and booking calls, even though I was getting leads, the problem is the leads didn't see me as unique. And the reality is that when someone doesn't see you as unique, they don't see you as valuable. The other problem was that I just hadn't niched down enough in my marketing. Even though you can, in some cases, build a business on a general offer for the public, the problem with this approach is that nobody ends up feeling like your offer is built just for them. Because when you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. For example, let's say that you're a real estate agent and your offer is simply to help someone find a place to live. The problem with a generic offer like this is that even though you might attract people who are looking for a place to live, there are so many different kinds of people that are looking to live in so many different kinds of places. Some people want an efficiency studio apartment and they want to rent it. Others are in the market to buy a $20 million home. These two different kinds of people have extremely different values and extremely different personalities. They need to be marketed to differently. The messaging that's going to attract one type of person is going to repel the other type. People who are frugal tend to see luxury as a waste of money, but people who value status tend to see luxury as extremely valuable. That's why you can't attract both with a marketing message, because what attracts one will repel the other one. If you try to attract both, you'll repel both. The irony of this is that the more experience you have in a certain market, the more this can work against you because you've done all kinds of deals. You've helped people find efficiency rentals, and you've gotten people into $20 million homes. So you're probably going to lead the conversation talking about how many years of experience you have and that you can basically do anything for any client. But that's not what prospects care about. What they care about is that you can help them in their specific situation. The larger and more sophisticated the market gets, the more competition comes in, and the more important it is to niche down and differentiate yourself with positioning. You're much better claiming just a section of the market. While a general offer might work in a small market or a new market, it's going to stop working in a large market or a sophisticated market that's significantly aged. Sophisticated markets strongly favor specialists, and they disfavor generalists. And this is why positioning really matters. Because in any lucrative market, you're going to reach a point where that general messaging just stops working across the board. They've simply heard that type of promise and those statements from too many other people. And if they have just one bad experience that they associate with someone else who had that type of messaging, they're going to immediately invalidate that type of messaging from everyone they hear it from. It simply becomes unbelievable, and it doesn't matter who is talking about it. When this happens, you don't need to completely revamp your entire business. You probably just need to reposition yourself so that you're focusing on a certain segment of the market or branding your offers so that they have a certain type of vibe. Anyway, most people try to solve this problem the wrong way. They obsess over logos, colors, and fonts. They spend months perfecting a website design. They copy competitors who seem to be doing well, hoping some of that success will rub off. They chase social media trends, jumping from TikTok to Instagram to LinkedIn without any clear message. Or they pour money into ads, thinking visibility alone will fix it. Some even hire agencies that polish their visuals but never actually help them figure out what makes them unique. And none of that usually works. Logos and design are just wrappers. Without a brand identity grounded in story and effective positioning in the market, they won't help you much. Copying competitors or mentors makes you invisible because prospects can tell you're not being authentic and you're basically just telling the market you're the same as them. Trends shift too fast to build your foundation on. Ads simply amplify a message that doesn't resonate. If people don't care about what you're saying, throwing money at visibility won't change that. And agencies, while good at design, usually can't position you authentically because they don't understand your deeper vision or the uniqueness that you need to lean into. That's why so many entrepreneurs invest thousands and still end up back where they started, with a brand that looks nice but doesn't convert. Good positioning communicates who your business is for, who it's not for, what's different about it, and what makes it superior for the people who want something different. It's about finding an actual gap in the market where there is significant demand that's not being met, where a group of customers are dissatisfied with current offerings and clearly want something else. Then planting your flag there and building something that actually fills that gap in a unique way that none of your competitors can just copy. It becomes a part of your brand identity and gets expressed in everything you do: your offers, your marketing, your content, your client experience. When you get this right, you stop being forgettable and start being magnetic. There are 4 principles you need to understand if you want to win at positioning. First, clarity beats complexity. We live in an attention economy, and the human brain is lazy. If people can't instantly understand and feel how you're different from your competitors and why it matters, they will tune out. Your logos, design, message, and vibe must tie your uniqueness to a simple angle that stands out. Otherwise, potential customers and clients won't have a reason to choose you over other brands. Second, emotion drives attention. People don't remember facts and features. They remember how you make them feel. If your brand doesn't touch them on an emotional level, it won't stick. Everything you communicate needs to impact them in a way that makes them feel something. If your messaging is too dry, this just won't happen. A little passion, humor, and drama goes a long way to making you unforgettable. That's exactly why I created Alchemy of Influence, my mastermind for coaches, consultants, and course creators who want to stop being ignored and start being remembered. Inside, I teach you the psychology of branding and positioning so that you can attract the right clients, get them better results, and grow your business without exhausting yourself using tactics that are commonly taught but just don't work. There's a link in the description for this video where you can find out more about it. Third, Differentiation is survival. In modern saturated markets, blending in is brand death. You can't win in the long run just by trying to outdo your competitors in unsustainable ways like undercutting your prices, all the while doing nothing else to really distinguish yourself. If your business is new or smaller, you may not be able to compete with your competitors directly on certain points. Large competitors might be unbeatable when it comes to things like economy of scale, low price, or quality. But if you look carefully enough at how the market is responding to the market leaders, you'll always find opportunities to make your brand stand out. There will always be dissatisfied customers who need something different than what's being offered everywhere else. If you can tune into that and build your brand around that unmet need, you can claim a section of the market that no one else has a hold on yet. And fourth, consistency builds authority. The more consistently you repeat your core message, the more it embeds in people's minds, and the more they trust you as the obvious leader in your space. Once you find a unique angle that works, continue to emphasize and broadcast it. Don't shift it unless the market shifts and you have to. Make it a central part of your marketing until it does. Ultimately, you want to become known for how you're different. When this happens, the people who value that difference will flock to you. Once you embrace those principles, the execution is straightforward. There are 3 essential steps. Step 1 is to define your category and thoroughly research your competition. Identify the strongest and weakest points in the offers of your 5 largest competitors. That way you can see the lay of the land in your market and begin to see gaps and opportunities to differentiate yourself. Some strong and weak points to look for in competitors' positioning are pricing, quality, benefits, drawbacks, unique solutions, unique problems, and customer service. If you can't find any competitors in your category, that usually means there just isn't sufficient demand in that category to build a business around. However, very rarely it means you've discovered a new untapped market. To confirm the presence or lack of demand, you can use keyword research tools to see how often any term is searched in search engines like Google and YouTube. Then you can compare it to how many competitors are buying ads or making content for that term. You're looking for a gap where demand is significantly higher than supply. It's a lot easier to win customers in categories where there is significant demand but little supply. When you discover one, it might be the very key to positioning your business effectively. Step 2 is to choose the gap you're going to fill with your brand or your offer and craft a narrative around it. Build a story that talks about the problem in the gap, communicates your unique promise of how you solve it, your values, and what makes your unique solution superior for the people who share your values. People need to know not only what problem you solve, but your unique way of solving it that your competitors can't simply copy because it would go against their own brand identity to do so. This can sometimes be as simple as just doing the opposite of whatever the market leader is doing. For example, 7-Up positioned itself against Coca-Cola by labeling itself the Uncola. Apple positioned itself against IBM by turning IBM's slogan of Think into their slogan of Think Different. You may not be able to sum it up into a short slogan like that just yet, but in the end, to make it work in the context of paid advertising, you'll need to distill it into something that can be communicated quickly and easily. Step 3 is to translate that narrative consistently across your offers, your marketing, and your client experience so that everything you do reinforces the same positioning in the minds of your audience. This will get the people who are ready to try something different to come to you instead of your competitors simply because you're unique and they can easily and quickly understand why your offer is better for them. Do these 3 steps well, and positioning stops being a theory. It becomes the living, breathing core of your business and how you cut through the noise of all the copycats. But here's the thing. Even if you get your brand positioned effectively, it's not the full picture. Because positioning only works if it sits on top of a business model that can actually sustain growth. You can have a brilliant brand and still fail in the long run if your business model isn't scalable or profitable enough to do that. That's why in the next video, I'm going to show you a few things that every startup needs to know about business models. Because if you pick the wrong model or fail to build one that matches your vision, even the best positioning won't save you. So stick around for that, because the truth is, positioning is the first step to being remembered. But choosing the right business model will protect your business from falling apart in the long haul. See you there in the next video.